Hi everyone, so now we're up to topic 4 part 3. What I've done here is I've left in black what we covered in topic 4 part 1, and then in orange is what we looked at in topic 4 part 2. Okay, so just trying to organize the information a little bit for you. All right, so now we're going to look at new information in topic 4, part 3. Okay, so let's think about what this word means, epidemiology. Now it is a bit of a mouthful, okay? So epidemiology studies disease in populations. So epidemiology is the study of diseases, when they occur, how they spread, and how we can control them. Okay, so it's the study of diseases, all right? Let's have a look and see what it means, just a little bit more terminology with regards to the different kinds of diseases that we have. So, if we look at what a communicable disease is, that word means is an infectious disease that can be transmitted from one person to another. Okay, so this is whether a disease can be transmitted between people. For contagious disease, if something is contagious, that means that it's easily transmitted from one person to another. So you get the distinction. One is about ability, and then this is how easily it happens. So let's have a look at another term. This term is zoonotic. This means that we can get diseases from animals. So some diseases can come from animals and then spread to humans. Okay? So here are some examples of those diseases that can cross over. Sometimes diseases just stay within the animal population and they don't infect us humans, but sometimes they do. Okay, so let's have a look at what these 3 different words mean. Incidence. Incidence looks at the number of new cases within a population over a period of time. So that definition has 3 parts. Okay? What does the word morbidity mean? Morbidity, and I'm reading this out because I want to make sure I get it right. The word morbidity means any departure, subjective or objective, from a state of physiological or psychological well-being. That is what morbidity means. So if you look at morbidity rate, it gives you the number of cases and it's expressed with regards to the population. So that one's only got 2 components to that definition. Mortality rate is how many people died in a population and in a time period. So that's got 3 parts, that particular definition. Okay, so they're a little bit tricky, but just so you know about them. All right, so let's have a look and see some more definitions. If a disease is sporadic, that means it only pops up every now and again. If it's endemic, it means that it's always around. okay? Somewhere, like for example, influenza. In Australia, at any given time, someone will have influenza. It's always there. Epidemic means that this disease is happening more than expected. Okay? And so epidemic is a disease happening more than expected in a specific place. Pandemic is where a disease is happening more than expected and over a place, but it's actually the place is all around the world. Okay? So epidemic and pandemic are the same thing. Epidemic is just restricted to one place, and pandemic just means the whole world has it. Many places at the same time. All right, so here are just examples of pandemics. I think that everybody, given what we have been going through with COVID, understands that if you're interested in having a look at some others. Okay, so now what we need to talk about is something called the chain of infection. So all of this needs to happen, all of these steps need to happen for an infection to occur. So we're going to have a look at those. All the parts of the chain of infection. The first part of the chain is the infectious agent, okay, which is whatever it is that is causing the infection. All right? Remember what the word pathogen meant? So make sure you add that to your notes. The reservoir is just where the infectious agent lives. The portal of exit just means how does the infectious agent leave its house. So the mode of transmission is just how the infectious agent gets around from place to place. Portal of entry just means how does the infectious agent get into a host, a person. And the susceptible host just looks at what is it about the person that it can make it more likely or less likely that they will become infected. We're going to have a look at all of these in turn to make sure that you really understand what they all mean. Okay, an infectious agent is an organism, so something that is living that is capable of producing an infection or an infectious disease. So what I want you guys to do is find 3 examples of this. Okay? So it's an organism that is capable of producing an infection. Okay? So that is what an infectious agent is. Tick. So you can be infected by infectious agents, but I think that what we need to do is we need to just make sure that we focus on those organisms that cause disease, because we know about our normal microflora. Okay, they are in our bodies and on our bodies, but they don't give us disease. So they're the ones that we want to think about, the ones that cause disease. Okay, let's have a look and see where these infectious agents can live. Here are some examples. They can live in us, humans. They can live in animals. They can live in the water. They can live on things. And they sometimes some infectious agents can be found in contaminated food. So there are many, many places where infectious agents can live, or that can be their home. Okay, so let's have a look at the portal of exit. The portal of exit just looks at how the pathogen leaves its house. Okay, so for example, influenza, the influenza virus, lives in your respiratory tract and exits via the respiratory tract. Hepatitis lives in the blood and it exits through the blood via cuts in the skin. Okay, so that is the portal of exit. How does the pathogen leave its house or leave its reservoir? Okay. How does the pathogen now move from place to place? Okay. As you can see here, look, the pathogen can float around in the wind, in the air, in the water. It can be carried by animals, or here are all the different examples on how the pathogen can get from one spot to the other spot. Okay? By droplets, through contaminated water, okay? By direct contact, okay? So the mode of transmission is just all about how the pathogen gets from its reservoir, okay, to its host. Okay, let's have a look at portal of entry. Portal of entry just means, how does the pathogen get into the person? How does it do that? All right, so COVID gets into the person via the respiratory tract, and hepatitis gets into the person via blood. So that is what a portal of entry is. How does the pathogen enter the host? Okay, one more to go, and it's got to do with susceptibility. Now, in order to understand this, you need to think of two different people. So here is person number one, okay? This person is exposed to this pathogen. Let's just pretend. Let's pretend that this person is exposed to these pathogens. Okay. So this person breathes this one in it goes. Now this person, due to their genes, due to their previous exposure to things, all right, they are healthy, they eat a great diet, they work out every day. This person kills off the pathogen. The pathogen has not had a chance to set up a home in the person. Okay? So they do not become infected. So they're happy. Okay? Now let's have a look at a different person. Okay? So this other person here, they are exposed to the same situation, but this time they breathe it in. But for some reason, okay, and there are different factors involved, person number two wasn't able to kill it, wasn't able to kill the pathogen. So then that pathogen starts multiplying, okay, and the person ends up being infected, okay. So this person here is less susceptible to infection. has more resistance to infection. This person, for whatever reason, maybe they were sick already with something else, or they have a weakened immune system or something. They were exposed to the exact same pathogen, but their immune system wasn't able to kill it off, so they ended up being infected. Okay? So that's the difference between the two, and that's what this means, susceptibility. Okay? All right, that's susceptible host. So what you need to do in order to stop infections from occurring is just make sure we break the chain. We break a link. If you break this chain of infection, then an infection will not occur. So this is why we have infection control practices to break the chain of infection. And here are just different examples on me on how we can break the chain of infection. You can get immunized. That will boost your, decrease your susceptibility. It gives you more resistance to infection. We can clean areas, all other things, mode of transmission, wearing a mask, that is stopping the pathogen from getting out and transmitting. So that's what you can see, that all the different infection control practices have a direct link to the chain of infection. Just a couple more definitions. A healthcare associated infection is an infection that you have attained or acquired as part of any healthcare related treatment or facility. Okay? If you had anything related to healthcare and you get an infection, that's what it's called, healthcare associated infections. If you get an infection not associated with any type of healthcare, then it's called community acquired. And healthcare associated infections are huge, and you can learn about those on this link. Huge, 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 huge. And the most common way that healthcare associated infections are transmitted is via contact, droplet and airborne, okay? And hand hygiene practices really do work wonders with regards to reducing this transmission risk. All right. One more part to go and we are finished with microbiology.